Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to The Clock Tick is Loose, episode 204. As you can see, we are two people down, Rob and Retro, and with us today, but we got everybody else. And we also have a guest, a very good guest, a man, the myth, the legend that is Shadow Fox Infinite. Why do you introduce yourself, man, to everyone?
How y'all doing? Who done stepped in the game?
That's point blank range.
I feel like y'all need to play the whole track. Like I don't want this shit. I want the whole track, guys. Where can we, Shafos, where can I download that track on SoundCloud, man? I'm waiting for that mixtape.
Yeah, there's a little known artist named Ace of Spades. You can go find that somewhere on SoundCloud. I'm pretty sure.
Ace of Base.
Ace of Spades.
Ace of base.
You saw the sign?
Yeah, Ace of Spades beat by DJ Locust.
Oh,
Local Atlanta artist.
Collected.
Fox, it's been a while since we had John. Right? I think we had cameras on, but last time you were on, we used to always have the cameras on.
yeah, we?
Hey, we gotta start doing it again. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh,
I never did that.
No
Wait there,
cams.
was that a jab at me or what?
Oh no, it wasn't even. Oh, my bad. I wasn't even thinking about that.
I've seen Clocked its eyeball.
have you?
Yeah, because he had his camera on. He turns his camera on every once in a while in Hangouts and just has it
feel like that's-
close to his eye.
I feel like that's just a weird comment.
Just to freak you out.
Maybe
I'll be
that's
on
like your
camera
eyeball
at
the
some
other
point.
day.
I'll be there at some point. Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry.
I've done one with the camera on the action figure the whole time. That was good stuff.
That was pretty funny.
Creepy.
Also, the doll's alive. Get the fuck out of here. Cutting
Yeah,
this shit off.
so-
I'm about to get my thing
Back to
possessed.
Clocked It, the host.
Yeah, back to me. Whoop, whoop, wind that back. Right. Okay, here we go. So yeah. So we got a few things to talk about. I thought we'd talk about some two news stories first of all. One of them, well, the first one, probably talking about the new Nintendo Labo kit because I got a few thoughts I want to put on that. I want to see what everyone else thinks as well. And we'll also talk about the recent Unreal update for the Nintendo Switch, which I believe Shadow Fox might be able to help us out with as well. And then after that, for the main topic, I want to talk about something I've been wanting to talk about for ages, and that's the second parties, the companies that Nintendo probably should have bought, could have bought, or should hypothetically buy now, just for fun, you know. And I thought that'd be something good to talk about towards the end. But first of all, let's get into Labo. And actually, no, I lied. Let's go back. Wind back. Okay. First of all, let's quickly talk about what everyone's been playing. And Shadow Fox, let's start with you. What have you been playing, man?
Octopath Traveler had 80 hours right now, 86, I guess.
86 hours, my
Chapter
God.
4.
I'm only 10 hours.
Yeah, I'm chapter 4 on just about all my characters now. Just about all 8. I think I got Alpha, and I think he's the only guy that's not chapter 4 yet. So yeah, just level 15 yet all the way through.
84 hours, but it's not worth $60, all right?
No, it's not. Clearly not enough gameplay. Clearly not.
All right, cool. Terrell, what about you, man? You still on Xenoblade? What's going on?
I'm playing a mixture of Xenoblade and Octopath. Octopath, I'm like 25 hours into it. I've already done, who is it? I've done Primrose's second chapter, and I'm at the boss fight for Tressa's second chapter, which is kicking my ass. And then the damn update for Xenoblade came out, and I spent the last 6 hours on that. So I'm catching up the clock. I'm catching up the fucking Shadow Fox, but god damn it, Xenoblade time is still killing me. What the hell?
Okay.
That's magic. That's my magic power.
Welcome to like a Chinese store.
Santa Claus showed up earlier.
I got a little mixer board here. Excuse me.
Oh, he's gonna be getting wrecked.
Unwanted visitor.
Oh,
I can say that's how I normally introduce T. So yeah, T, what have you been playing, man?
I dare you.
Mine, I'm similar to what what's that guy's name again? Terrell. I'm similar to
Wow,
what he's doing.
fuck you, man. It's only been like a second.
I literally completely blanked just then. Yeah,
We both have T's. We have T's.
That's what's confusing me. Yeah, I'm doing like Xenoblade and Octopath as well. I don't think I I know I have 4 travelers. I'm on chapter 2 with 3 of them, I think. And so I'm around 20 hours into that. And Xenoblade, I'm on that grind right now. Like I'm at a fight that I just couldn't get past. So I've just been grinding to level up.
I have a suspicion of what fight this is.
It's a long staircase area.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I went there thinking, oh, yeah, no problem. I got my ass handed to me. And I walked down the stairs, all the way down the stairs.
Hey, look, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So I'm definitely way behind most of you guys in that game. So I just...
Yeah, that's still quite early on, isn't it? Oh my God, yeah.
That's the end of chapter 3, I believe.
3, yeah, I think it's chapter 3.
So after that fight, he'll be done.
Robert.
What?
Oh, you
I thought he was farther than that.
When I can play, just Rocket League for 300 hours.
Yeah, I'm about to say. You ain't playing nothing else.
I got other games I'm playing too, son.
Come on, you're gonna ask Juice. We all know what he's been playing. So
yeah, he don't play nothing else.
I actually played two different games.
What'd you play?
I played a little Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. I did the Ruto part of the Champions Ballad with Rivali, and then did the Ganon fight on Master Mode because I've been slowly working my way through Master Mode's Champions Ballad. So I got the I think the last one is the Death Mountain. But yeah, I played that mainly just to get it on top of my playtime list.
I fucking knew it. I was about to suggest this. That the main reason why he did it is because his Rocket League hours started.
But I played it for like an hour, so I mean, I didn't just turn it on, turn it off. And then I played Paladins for 1 match. I did really well, and then I was like, still not ready for a shooter game. Just I was telling these guys off air as we lose Shadow Fox.
It just dropped.
Probably my most played game all time is Black Ops 1 or Call of Duty Black Ops 2. I forget which one I had more hours in. And I just really got burnt out on it. So I played 1 match of Paladins. I'm like, yeah, I could see this being fun, but I'm not in the mood for it. So
I've had that before when you've rinsed a single game so hard. That's something else similar. Not long afterwards, you just can't be bothered. I had that one after I played Grand Theft Auto 3, and I rinsed GTA 3 so hard, and then Vice City come out. I was like, I can't be bothered learning this city again because gameplay wise it wasn't that much different.
No,
I just couldn't be bothered doing it. So it took me ages to play that game.
And then I was playing with my Pyro body pillow for a little bit the other night.
Your what?
My Pyro body pillow.
Where did that come from?
Wow.
I'm actually legitimately confused by that one. When and why?
Does it have rubber grips?
Yeah, it was a deluxe version. It's got like I don't even know what material you would use. No, just kidding.
The best version.
Your camera
it's already wrong because you'd have had a Mithra pillow. That was the first problem.
I don't know. I think I'd have Pyro.
Bye.
Anyway, no, the other game I was playing was Rocket League. So
of course, oh wow!
I surpassed 300 hours on Switch. I got 35 hours on Steam, and still suck, but slight improvements. Each week I feel like I get like 1% maybe better.
Look at this fraud putting 300 hours in the old ass game. He could have played it on his PC way 2, 3, 4 years ago.
I just celebrated its 3rd birthday. Yes, you're right. But
wow,
it's hard to it was hard for me to like want to get into an online focused game back then, but now that I've that I'm addicted, I don't mind playing on PC. So, but I still play the Switch version way more, so it's not like I converted. But yeah,
so it's not like you're a traitor. I see.
No, but we'll see if this new update if they can fix it from the Switch version won't crash anymore, then I'll just continue to play the Switch version. But
didn't the update for Rocket League come out today?
Today, yeah, we'll see. They've fixed it before and it didn't fix it. So games never crash on PC, and it used to crash at least once per PlayStation session. But the last 3 days it didn't crash. So hopefully they got shit figured out, and we'll see. Because all my progress is all my purchases, my DLC, everything's on the Switch version. So
Nintendo need to get this man a game so he can stop playing the old ass Rocket League.
I'm gonna keep playing it.
I don't think he's gonna stop. I think that's gonna be his.
My goal is to get to like diamond rank by the end of this year. So if you look at there's a chart that says how many hours usually equates to a certain rank. So I got to put in about another 300 hours to get where I want to be. So
I'm just saying, if Nintendo had dropped the Zelda-like game or Mario-like
if they
game this
released
year,
a major title earlier, then I would have never got hooked into Rocket League like that. So,
but that's
Nintendo's
what they want. They want you to play these third-party games.
Yeah, but I say, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it's not a bad thing at all.
I just love though when I make juice opinions when I'm talking about Nintendo and their output. Specifically, I the same fucking comments.
People don't listen, man.
There's a bunch of games on that released this year. You don't have to play Nintendo games. I'm not saying you have to play Nintendo games. I'm telling you what my grade is for Nintendo right now in 2018 for first party games. That's all I'm talking about. But you don't have to
give them a grade because there are other games.
Yeah, if I was talking about the Switch lineup in general, there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of games. You look at my friends list and everybody's playing something different. That's great. Most of them are old games, but it's fine. There's a lot of games out there. So it's not quantity that's the issue. It's Nintendo's first party output that I've continually been talking about. So anyway,
because how dare you?
Why don't you try to play something else, you Nintendo? That's what they'll say.
Yeah, that's why I played 300 hours in Rocket League, but I don't play anything else. I don't play anything but Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo first party hunger is pretty real for you right now.
Mm-hmm.
But,
he doesn't believe in Nintendo first party.
And I'm not even excited for Smash, so I don't even know what the future holds.
What's going on, man? You changed.
Yeah, it's a scrub, is what it is. That's what it is.
I'll tell you what you might be excited about. Let's move on to it, and that's the new Labo kit, man. So,
well, I already heard his juice opinion, so I don't think he's excited.
I'm about to say, did you watch his juice opinion? I don't think you did.
No,
everybody watches juice opinions.
The reason why I want to bring up the new Labo kit is because, like I said, I know none of us here are like super into it. Some of us got it, whatever. I hope you've all seen the new trailer anyway, but. Labo, is it seems to be in a funny place. It seems to be all in your face. I see it everywhere, but it also seems to be quiet at the same time. But then, out of the bloom, Nintendo dropped this new Toy-Con kit, Toy-Con kit number 3, and with that comes a whole load of new stuff: a steering wheel, a gear stick, a pedal, and this little mechanical thing which we use for the underwater sections. But it was the game itself that obviously grabbed most people's attention. And the game itself, you can control a vehicle which you can customize that can transform into an airplane, and it can transform into a submarine. And each of these modes have their own worlds essentially, and games to play around with. Now, personally, I thought this looked really fucking cool. And first thoughts, I feel like for a lot of people might have been Wii Sports Resort or something. But when I first saw it, one of my earlier thoughts were stunt race effects, which was on the Super Nintendo, if you remember that.
Sorry, guys.
was that a car or you breaking winds?
Somebody's Harley in it.
But yeah, so I just wanted to get everyone's thoughts first of all on what they think of this new game, which actually seems to be the most substantial Labo game so far out of all of what we've seen. So let's start with.
Let's see if Shadow Fox's mic's working because he had to drop out and came back in.
Hopefully, I'm good. We'll see.
Yeah. We can good. Yeah. So you wanna start with Shadow Fox then? What are your thoughts on the new Labo kit? Have you seen the video? Or are you interested?
No, I haven't seen the new Labo kit video yet. I saw the first and second releases. People doing the garage stuff. Is it more garage stuff or what?
That's an actual game.
This is an actual game now, so it looks almost like in Wii Sports Resort we had Wushu Island.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's almost like that. It looks like a large island. You can drive around in a car. That car transforms into the plane. You can transform into a submarine, go under the water. It's all different games and stuff. But yeah, as a game itself, it seems a lot more substantial now. So
Oh, see, this was confusing me because I'm like,
Oh, this is the one where you make your own buggy.
yeah,
and it turns into all those different vehicles. See, I think they're making a mistake. I think, like, I like it, but what I think they should be doing with Labo and the games is that they release a new Toy Con, and then they release like a DLC pack for your for your current game or whatever. So it just be one game, and every time they release a new Toy Con set, they release a pack. So you buy the kit, and that's it. That's the way I feel it should be, instead of having to keep buying these game cards
And switching out the game cards.
I feel exactly the same. It's because you bought the first Labo kit, so you're going to be having like a brand new game every single time. You're going to have like a Labo collection of individual games, which is it's just not going to work. And then each time now they're still going to be charging you £60 or $70 for these individual games.
Lost
and it's too much. That was one of my that's something that's really put me off, because for me, I would have snapped this up if, like you said, if it was DLC or something like that to extend.
I was thinking it's going to be
itself.
What do they call it? Add-on AOC, add-on content. Like I was hoping it would be something like that. You just pay for the variety pack or the whatever Toy Con pack set, and then maybe there's some kind of code or something in the box, and you go use that code to download the AOC. That to me makes more sense than having to keep buying a new Labo game. That's crazy.
That's kind of what I thought their plan was going to be. Was that whatever the generic kit was, instead of the eccentric ones, the robot one or whatever, you just buy the one where you build whatever you have, like 4 or 5 different games in there, and you add on to that one. That's what I thought they were going to do. But
right, that would have made more sense. I don't know why they're going this route. You're going to separate your audiences out, because not everybody's going to buy. I don't think anybody's going to buy every stupid kit. Like, nobody's going to do that, I don't think.
Yeah, not at $70 a pop.
No,
not for, and it's in the kids as well, So the parents, aren't gonna go out and buy this. It's almost like you said, they've messed up the. I feel like they've messed up the execution of it, and where this was directed at children, you lose them instantly at the high entry price, and when you're doing it multiple times, I mean, if you wanted all these kits now, you're going up to $200. It's absolutely that's crazy.
It's insane.
It would be
3 games.
It would be more worth it. And you said this game looks more substantial. It looks like a big, empty, single-player open world with not much going on. Like, it's like he shows the mechanics of the flying. Looks awesome. The trigger for shooting. He's shooting at a balloon and then flying through clouds to break them up. It's such a, I mean, it's kid focused, which is fine, but there's just no depth. They're just shallow. Yeah, you
have to wonder what else will come.
Yeah, it's like, okay, the steering wheel and pedal now. I'm sure that'll be used for Mario Kart. They'll update it for that to work. But that submarine, that's that one contraption for all it does is control your submarine. Then you got to switch out to the steering wheel and the flight stick. Like it's very cumbersome looking. Like that's not intuitive. That's not what Nintendo's known for.
Yeah, because they're all separate input devices, aren't they?
Yeah, you got to change out the Joy-Con each time. You got to, and kids don't mind doing that stuff probably. But, and like I said, you're driving around, flying around this completely open. It looks like Wii graphics with HD. There's nothing. Not saying that that's super important, but it's not going to appeal to anybody but kids. But then as a parent or something, like $70-$80 to put that cardboard together. You could say Lego sets are super overpriced too, and they don't give you any kind of interactive experience. But I just think they're missing the mark with the games themselves, and it's dumb to have a separate game for each one anyway. They should have had the games, whatever you get the card, whatever one you buy, you get a game card, and then there should be just the kits with just the cardboard.
Don't you feel like this should have been perhaps the initial focus of Amiibo as well. Because remember, we were all talking about Amiibo when it came out, and we felt like it needed its own central game, and then
Amiibo World.
They never did
and
it.
then everything could have branched out from it. You kind of feel like Labo needed this. So, like with the variety kits and stuff that we have, for the first kit that I bought, this you feel like this could have easily in part slotted into this whole island center type base and base game, and the same with the giant robot. If you remember Pilot Wings 64, in that game, there was a mode where you would just fly around and shoot this giant robot that's running around in your gyrocopter, which was freaking awesome. And Pilot Wings had its own island. It actually had a massive island with a city and outback and all this stuff, and that served as like a base hub, and that kind of led on to what Wii Sports Resorts was. And Wii Sports Resort was the home for all these Wii Sports games. It just worked like that. So, like you said, I feel Labo is greatly hurting itself by having these individual packs that don't essentially link together at all. And
it's missed opportunities. It's I have no problem with, like, I know Juice complained about it's shallow. For me, I don't try to put a round peg into a square shape hole, because this is not, you got to take your I know it's hard to do as a gamer, and you're looking at this, you're like, oh, this is definitely not for me. Well, yeah, it's not for you. It is definitely for kids. And I feel like a lot of people keep trying to push themselves into it. It's like, oh,
when there's not much to do past put the cardboard together, then they lose interest quick. That's the problem.
Not from my perspective, because I'm looking at it, the cardboard aspect of building something and then seeing it actually work. That is a big part of it. And people just want I heard people say, oh, just send me the cardboard, send it to me already assembled. Like, what? Like, that's not the point of it. The point of it is to build something and then interact with it. And that's how it works. But what I'm saying is my problem is not the shallowness of it, because I expected these different kits to come out. My problem is that if you had this hub game, the variety set or whatever, and then you added on the robot, and then you added on the whatever this is called, should be Pilot Wings or something. That's what it should have been called, the Pilot Wing Pack or something. If they were smart, because then it would get gamers, who play Pilot Wings, to maybe buy it and realize they wasted their money, but they would have bought it because they heard Pilot Wings. So, but like if they would have had it where that was the central hub and you add on all these pieces around it, the depth wouldn't matter as much, because you'd have more variety. You could go back to the other things and they all work together.
But I guess
the problem is it's all separated out.
Well, I guess I want to throw my 2 cents in here, because even though it doesn't connect that way on the main game hub side, it does connect that way through Garage. Because if you already bought it, if you have the variety kit, you can now mix and match your stuff from, let's say, this new buggy kit with your variety kit and get a whole bunch of new different types of games and creations you can make. So I understand. Yeah. And then
that's a good way to look at it, yeah.
And I agree that the hub would have been a better way to go, but it's not like it's still not connected and you still can't get something out of it the other way. Because to me, it's pretty. I kind of expected this to be the thing. I expected, okay, well, the garage is kind of the hub, is that background hub. It's the one where you can mix and match the robot, the variety kit, and all the other kits, and the individual games is for that just particular thing. But that's the way I looked at it.
Well, what? Shit, I lost my.
You lost your mind? Yeah, we know.
Well, first I want to talk about the Pilot Wings thing. Like, if that flight stick looks like it works really well, let's say it's really accurate, intuitive. Like, what would have been the harm of having a more fleshed out Pilot Wings type game? Maybe not super hardcore, but get something closer to a full-fledged Pilot Wings. Then you're going to get people like me buying that damn thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Pilot Wings isn't a hardcore game. They could have easily made Pilot Wings Labo, and it would have been like right in line with what Pilot Wings already does.
And the other thing I was going to say is, it's appealing to younger kids for sure. So now you got, just for that one kit, you got a steering wheel, you got a flight stick, and then whatever that contraption is for the submarine. That's 3 separate pieces just for one game. Well, then let's say they grab the motorbike thing, and then, you know, is a younger kid. I mean, they're smarter than we give them credit for, but now they got to change the game card to match the. They got let's say they got 2 kits, the variety kit and this new one. I mean, how many pieces of there's like 5, 6, 7 different fully assembled things, and now they got to figure out which game goes with which. I mean, I know kids aren't as dumb as people always assume they are, but still, that's a lot to ask of the younger audience you're kind of catering.
What Juice is really saying is that kids aren't stupid, but let's pretend like they're kind of stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems,
for the sake of the argument,
it's definitely less intuitive than just having one game where.
Oh yeah, because I mean, I agree with the idea that a hub game would have been better, and each of these kits were more like DLC. And to be fair, they can still do that at any time. It's not like they're hampered.
But they're going to sell each one with the game.
Well, of course they are. You know why? Because they'll make more money that way.
Well, maybe I don't know.
Well, I guess that's debatable. I guess
now when I see them, since day one, there's always been at least 4 or 5 just kits that never seem to sell at the stores I go to. Like I don't see them flying off the shelves.
Well, I mean, they're not flying off the shelves.
How much easier that robot kit would have been at, let's say, $25.99 or something, and you just buy that and then you download the robot stuff. How much easier would have been to sell those that way? I think it would have been a lot easier than saying, "Oh, you can buy the variety kit," which is what everybody wanted from the beginning. And then you go out and but I want that robot thing too, but I gotta pay a whole nother $70 for that.
$90 for the robot.
Or excuse me, like I gotta pay a whole nother $90 for that. Like doesn't make sense to me. Like
it's a weird. It's almost like Labo's its own division of Nintendo, and they're just trying to push this completely separate brand instead of really.
Well, that's exactly what I viewed it as.
It's not really tying.
That's how I see it. Yeah, it totally.
Yeah, that's literally what it is.
And I think
it can still be more intuitive though in their own little world over there.
Yeah, they can handle it better. Yeah.
I didn't even watch the video until Clocked It started talking about it. I was like, I better watch it. I can't be one of those the guests that just like, I didn't see that.
You talk crap about something you didn't play or see.
Also, apparently the robot kit has gone down in price. It's like $76 instead of $90.
Yeah,
but it's very difficult to put together.
It looks like very complicated from what everyone said, but it's just like the putting together is the best part. That's not. There's not much longevity into that.
Well, of course, that's why it's the same thing that you could say about other Lego sets. It's like once you build it,
depends on what Lego set though. I mean, it can be a showcase. You put it in a freaking display case.
Well, yeah, but to me, that's all you can do though. That's what I'm saying. Like
my thing is like, who are these kids? Are like got all these cardboard pieces. They're in perfect shape, and they put them away somewhere. My kids have no room in their room for all this extra stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been a lot easier for me to go out and buy, you guys screwed that up. Go pay, $10, $15, $20 for the cardboard part of the, thing, and then go out and replace that. Then they have to go out and buy a whole set when they screw up their cardboard. No, I'm not doing that.
Well, to be fair, you could still technically do that, considering you have the game. So all you got to do is just get like the white sheets of little sticker paper and then rebuild it your own stuff and make it like your own project.
It'd be interesting to see how many people have actually done that, because we haven't done that in my house yet. Any DIY and stuff. We still just in the first variety kit, Nintendo actually do give you some spare parts.
Yeah, they give you some stuff in there.
Yeah, to use and stuff. But
and this new one's $70.
Yeah,
it's the same price as the variety kit.
I looked at my kids. I showed them the trailer, and I was like, kids, you kind of slow down on the whole Labo thing. They're like, but that looks amazing, please. I'm like, hey, man.
See, it's like I said, it's gonna be like Lego, where kids are still buying Lego stuff, and but it's just a different configuration you can do.
First of all, kids ain't buying shit. The parents are buying.
Exactly.
That's their problem.
They're asking their parents to buy it. I'm sorry, T.
We are the victims.
Right.
It was a misspeak. Don't burn me at the cross, please. Don't do it.
And we're the Nintendo douchebags who feel like we gotta buy all this stuff as well. Just just
It was like I got my,
Hey,
my
listen,
kids
that's
were
your
really
own fault,
excited,
right.
and then it's like they saw it themselves. I mean, they were excited from seeing it themselves. I haven't bought them it yet because they've not had a great summer, and it's just like I don't want to reward them because they're acting a fool around here. But within the next month, they'll probably have it. But it's like now it's just my enthusiasm for it went down when I see this is how they want to roll out consecutive packs. I'm like, I'm not down with buying a new $80
There's no
pack.
rush anymore, is there? No rush to go out and get it. You know?
I would say if you were to get one, I'd probably go for the new one. I wouldn't go for the other two.
There's no extra cardboard, and they won't put it on the eShop for some reason. I just don't. That
Yeah,
bewilders
the
me.
eShop is the weird thing.
Are they trying to lock it in just to make sure they get the profit from the game being bundled with it? I don't.
And that's another thing. Like
I'm not even seeing how that.
I guess they don't want you to know how much you're paying for each, and that's why they put it all together.
I'm guessing that the games that the development budget was nothing, and it's
nothing significant.
About a tops $20 game.
Yeah, I would say 30.
They might even garbled up some small company, some guy with an idea. This is probably not an internal Nintendo thing. Could have been something they saw from some guy.
Yeah,
I would say it's probably someone internal because they mentioned how.
Oh yeah, it's definitely partially internal. I'm just saying, theoretically, it's not something they put too much of a huge investment in. And you're looking at this in the software you're looking at, and you're like, it's not, you're not talking like multi-million-dollar worth of budgeting here for that game or for the games, I should say. And then the cardboard, it's cardboard, so
yeah,
that's not too expensive there. So I feel like they want to oversell the software. That's why they put it together where you can't get on the eShop, like Shadow Fox said, you can't get on the eShop, and you have to buy it in the kit every time.
Too much.
Yeah,
they're not.
It's a lot to ask. It's a big ask.
Let's say they're not handling it as well as they could. Yeah.
All right. Let's dump Labo then. We all seem to be pretty lukewarm on his future.
I think that's being generous.
That's very generous.
Yeah, but they're being generous.
Not too fussed even on how the new game looks and what is seems to be getting a little bit of inspiration from. So yeah, let's move on. And Juice, do you want to bring up the Unreal?
All right, yeah, because what was it, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago maybe? Didn't bring it up last week because I had already had the idea to have Shadow Fox on, but the news YouTube channels, the news reporters, the daily video guys, I seen the headlines for Unreal Engine 4 Switch update, major improvements to games, blah blah blah. Then I watched the videos, and these guys got nothing other than just regurgitating. There was an update for Unreal Engine 4 for the Switch, and it could potentially benefit games. And I'm just like, what does that mean? Like, so Shadow Fox hopefully can.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that.
Can enlighten us. Try simple talk to how really what I want to know is what will that mean for actual games that are out that use Unreal Engine 4, future games, and then how is it implemented? Is it a system update where the games are just going to work better, or do the developers actually have to go back in and patch games? So those are the two main questions I have, and hopefully you got some knowledge that you can help.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of both. Epic put out the update. 4.20 has been in beta for a while now. I want to say a couple months now. And they finally rolled out on 4.20. And what's so important about 4.20 is there's a content update for the SDK for the Nintendo Switch as well. And in that update, there's a lot of things for performance that will increase lots of things happening in different games. So I would say specifically, you're going to see it in Fortnite, definitely, since obviously that's their is built with their engine in mind. Like they literally built Fortnite around UE4. So that's not going to be that's definitely not going to be one of the games that's going to have a problem.
Yeah, I seen somebody say like they must have built Fortnite already with this. It's probably already, people in the comments, because no one knew anything, like, oh, Fortnite probably already uses this update since they've been working on it. And I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah, they kind of put some updates out to fix some stuff, but they couldn't. I don't think it would be in Epic's best interest to roll out a beta update as part of the Nintendo Switch. Like they would have to keep everything in line as they update develop. You can't just say, look, we're going to provide this to you developers, but hey, we've already been using it in the background, blah, 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 whatsoever. And not only we're doing that, we're using untested stuff to push out in our own games. It's probably a bad call. So what's happening is they're going to roll out the feature updates to developers, and then it's going to be up to the publisher whether or not they want to fund it. And then roll out those content updates. So you update the engines on these games. So and I'm at a I guess the cat's got my tongue on the long list of UE4 games that are out there. There's at least 20 or so.
So it's not just something the Switch there wouldn't be like a hardware update for the Switch. This would be game specific.
Yes, because this is extremely high level. It's no low level nothing. It's all basically middleware with regards to how the Unreal Engine runs the game. So it's an update to how that code works to talk to the lower level languages that the Switch has. Similar, and basically they're going to mirror all the mobile updates to the Switch. So all the content, like very specific type of LODs and stuff like that. So you have perceived higher polygon counts in your game and stuff like that. That type of stuff is going to be rolled into the Nintendo Switch version as well. Like I have the list up right now. Currently, everything that's on there says dynamic resolution, which is something that other engines are doing right now. Doom and a couple other games are doing that already right now. So essentially, pretty much it is what it says it is. So when it predicts that the frame rate is going to chug, it drops down the resolution to whatever resolution it deems necessary to keep the frame rate at whatever lock frame rate that they specify. If it's 20 frames per second, 30 frames per second, or whatever, or 60, that's what it'll do. And it'll scale the resolution back up when it's not as demanding, depending on what's going on in the game. Usually a lot of CPU bound stuff is what drags your frame rate down. I would say that's been the Achilles heel for Nintendo hardware for a long time. So anything CPU bound you're gonna get low frame rates. Frame seeking for controller input, because I got to a big discussion with somebody before where they didn't understand the difference between when I was telling them that input delay is actually worse than output delay. So if you actually have input lag is not based on your frame rate per se. It's based on the IO of the controller and the CPU and how the game works, how it responds to controller input. You could have nothing on the screen, but if there was rumble response, you would be able to tell the delay based on the rumble response. So it's just one of those things where they're upgrading that as well too. So there's not any lag or any latency with you pressing a button and something happens in the game itself before you ever see anything on screen. You don't want any delays between your action and what happens in the game. So that they're working on that. They're working on multi-threading. They're working on texture compression and 1080p and dot mode and stuff like that. Just different things they're doing throughout the engine itself to make things better. But we're probably going to see that in Fortnite really soon. So I think
I'd be shocked if that isn't the first game.
Yeah, it will have to be. And
called it the Fortnite update, didn't they? I think the way they listed it for the Switch, it was.
Yeah, they promised back in, what was it? I want to say early July. They promised that they were going to do a chain of performance updates for the game, because it was real bad when you first downloaded it or whatever, and it got a little better a couple of weeks after that, and they were promising even more going forward. So And if you look at some of the videos of what they're doing on mobile, like it's gonna be good because they're cramming it on the iPhone. They're definitely it's gonna be running well on Switch.
So let's just look at a few games that are already out on Switch that use Unreal Engine 4 and maybe some future games. First one I can think of is one you guys are all playing, Octopath Traveler. It was interesting to find out that game runs at 720p docked, so that they can have all the effects and everything going. Now, is that with what you see from the tech side of it? Do you think they could bump up a resolution for a game that already out like that?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why they couldn't. And so the issue with that is, so the built-in SDK that Nintendo has, you could determine what you want to do for dock mode and portable mode. But people that were using other engines to get games done, there is a little bit of trickery there, and some of that stuff isn't as well documented. So you got developers out here that are like, literally whatever it's going to be on mobile is what it's going to be docked type situation, where you have like it's 720p either way, or it's 540p or whatever it is. Even if you put it docked or whatever, it's just, I don't know, drawing power still while still displaying a low resolution on your TV screen. So and that's just a lack of documentation, and they have to get a product out pretty quick, and then they try to update it later and add graphics improvements and figure out how they separate the different modes, because I don't know. So what's happening when you go between portable mode and dock mode, you essentially go from having 4 CPUs to 8, and when you do that, you have to account for all the other different things that affect frame rate and things of that nature. So when you go to 1080p, is it stable? Or if you go to 720p from 540p or whatever, is it stable? And they have to account and test for both of those. Essentially, Nintendo's tools are pretty much automatic, but for people that don't want to use Nintendo's tools, if you're using something third party, they may not be as solid as Nintendo stuff. So you have to go back and forth and check what your build looks like and how it handles in both modes. So that's one of the things where you can't just say, oh, well, this hardware is weak, it can't run this engine. No, you're doing a whole lot of things that you have to plan for as you test your game and your engine to run on this platform going back and forth, because you're dealing with multiple resolutions in some cases, and in some cases 2 completely different frame rates and other situations based on the type of power and what type of performance you think you're going to have per watt. So it's just one of those things. So
do you think it's like something that could significantly improve future games, or is it just, I mean, I know some people were kind of getting excited that this, like you said, maybe we could see more 1080p games. But is there, I didn't know Unreal didn't do dynamic resolution, because it seems like every new game these days does that. But
well, I mean, it does, but it does it on other platforms. They hadn't gotten around to doing it for Switch yet.
So that actually means you're going to see lower resolutions at times. Maybe someone would opt to try to hit 60 frames per second then, if they
yes. So more 720p 60, and then they'll try to do maybe 1080p 30 for docked. So essentially what's happening is they're allowing one or more back buffers to be applied, so you can split your memory up to have different layers of how you're going to render your game out. So essentially what you're doing is you're rendering out. I guess the problem is, if you render out the 1080p, you also have to have your tools set in a way where your text and everything else and all your textures and everything apply accordingly as well. Because a game like Octopath, if you put it in 1080p, you're probably not going to be able to read that. So you got to redo all your text and all that stuff. I'm pretty sure all the assets are probably sitting somewhere. Square probably has all that for whatever they want to port it to, but you got to have that ready for that version whenever you move forward. So it's not just something that Unreal is going to do for you if you did your own custom text or anything like that. If you did all that inside the engine, I don't see why it wouldn't. But for people that create their own art assets and stuff like that for text and things of that nature, is going to be a problem. So, but I think the game itself shouldn't be an issue. A game like Octopath would run 1080p no problem. It's just the tools, and it's always been that way for Nintendo hardware anyway. It's always been the tools more than anything else. If you look at all the developer interviews that said, and whoever wanted to target the questions to say that the system was weak. If you actually look at what the developer was saying, is just we don't know much about how we're going to get this to run because we're not used to using this SDK for the most part. So now that everything is getting a little bit more, Unreal Engine is probably as cookie cutter as you can get as far as development goes. Not saying that it's easy, but just saying that so many people use it, so many people know what to expect, that you're going to start to see some interesting things and a lot more games that start to leverage more of what the console can do other than Nintendo. Because, I mean, pretty much unless you use Nintendo's tools and the custom tools that they don't give to developers, even if you buy their stuff, you don't get to do some of the fancy stuff that they're able to do. So I would say as Unreal increases, as it gets better with time and age and whatnot, we'll start to see, I would say, very, very, very impressive things for the little tablet they could, to be honest with you. Because, I mean, it's already doing more than I expected anyway. But
yeah, and I know, like I said, some people in the comment section of those videos were some people were thinking, oh, this is going to make be like the new 3DS over the regular 3DS type of leap. And I'm like, I wouldn't expect maybe that, but it'd be nice to know it's worth.
Yeah, for the publishers that are willing to go the extra mile, which is I probably need to make a video about that at some point. They have to determine whether or not it's worth the money for them to go back to the well again to get Panic Button or whoever to add this feature in from this update and whatnot, then go back and recompile it and push it back out. It'll be up to them whether they want to do that or not, or if they've already pledged a year worth of support for updates for that game, or if it's a game like Fortnite that's going to be a constantly evolving type title, then yeah, I definitely see a lot of that happening. I see a lot of updates happening, and we could see a lot of, you turn your console on, there's an update for it, and it looks way better. But there are some games out there that, hey, we're just putting this game out here to say we supported it and we're out type deal. I don't see them going back to the well to just for this one update to make games look better for you for free.
Does Rhyme use Unreal Engine?
I think Rhyme was one of the UE4 games, if I'm not mistaken. I think it is.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if they've already made patches. I'd be shocked if they made another one. I think the game's pretty much
that
done.
team won't go back there. They had hell, didn't they?
Yeah, I think Rhyme is Unreal Engine 4, if I'm not mistaken.
So really, this more means more for future games than it does older games, because
yes,
future games they start off jump with this update already.
Yes, and it is Unreal Engine 4, kind of. I think it started development in Unreal Engine 3, and then they moved it to Unreal Engine 4.
Yeah, because I forgot Rocket League was Unreal Engine 3.
Yeah,
it's a 3-year-old game. They've already made like a significant graphical improvement over launch time. When it launched, it was 720p a docked, and it was like 480 portable, and they put out a patch that put up to 900p, and I mean it was a significant increase.
Well, according to NetherRealm Studios, it's impossible to port Unreal Engine 3 games to Switch. So
yeah, Rocket League. I thought that was the thing about A Hat in Time. Oh, the people getting upset. They said that they can't port Unreal Engine 3 games to it. It said we already have some. And I'm like,
yeah, and they made it
quick to defend shit when they don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah, this is one of those things. Yeah, and you could tell who has a development kit and who doesn't when they make the statements that they make. So right. It's, I mean, the proof is always in the game. So when somebody says, "Well, we can't do this," and then you see a game doing it, like, yeah, it's just
we have no right as Nintendo fans to be upset that we can't get that game. The game that they shipped with Nintendo 64 looking boxes, and why would we care?
Yeah,
it's crazy, man.
And then someone pointed out two things. Outlast games were Unreal Engine 3 and got ported in like 2 weeks.
Yep. And
then Ruby was talking about how maybe the new Kirby game, or not Kirby, because I don't think Kirby is on Yoshi. They kind of delayed it without really saying why, and maybe it wasn't for this engine like Dragon Quest 11. They kind of said that was kind of the reason, but that game already looked amazing, and we'll never know if Nintendo probably never say, but if this update could be applied to a game, first party game like Yoshi, and next time we see it, it could be even more impressive looking.
The new Fire Emblem game is supposed to be Unreal Engine 4, right? Isn't the Fire Emblem title supposed to be?
Not
No, there
one.
was rumors for that.
It was Shin
Megami Tensei.
Shin Megami Tensei.
Yeah, I think it's Shin Megami Tensei.
Or is it
5?
It was 5.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah.
5,
So I mean, I know you don't have all the numbers and stuff, but like it's something to do with efficiency and the way textures and everything get compressed and loaded and stuff. So I mean, what would be, other than just resolution, what was something in frame rate? Like what's some things you would actually notice?
You'll notice the LOD stuff. So the way that they do level of detail, there are different ways that different developers come up with solutions to solve that problem. Because the original LOD is, it's a lot of polygons. Let's come up with a simplified model and just make it pop up small polygon, then pop up medium polygon, then pop up full mesh when you're close enough. Mm-hmm. And so what they start doing now is subdividing it into sections. So this area over here is further away. So let's keep it small. This area over here is getting a little close to the camera angle or parallax or what have you. So let's make it bigger and we'll grow that one. And then the other ones back there don't take up as much fill rate and whatnot when you're doing stuff like that. And also you don't have to worry about doing normals or any other type of texture fills on that stuff that's way in the background because it's already accounted for as a LOD. So it's different names for it. They call it proxy LOD, but it's just a different type of doing level of detail.
So would that be like texture pop up like in Fortnite when you're landing?
Yeah, that's what it is. So it's gradually changing the detail of the polygonal structure. So when you're falling like towards a building or whatever, it's like extremely low polygon when you're high up on the flying bus, if you will, and then as soon as you get closer or whatever, a more detailed model gradually appears to you. And the same thing happens while you're on the terrain too, as well. Everything that's in the distance is.
Would it push out maybe the pop up as the textures pop in? Would that go out a little further?
Yeah, you can make it more detailed. So what is happening, what they're doing on the mobile platforms is they're spinning some of it off on the CPU rather than the GPU, because it used to be a GPU only task way back in the GameCube days, where you would tell the graphics processor, hey, draw these polygons here, and as soon as it gets to this point on the Z-axis, delete them and have these sitting behind it. And so what they're doing now is storing the lower detailed polygonal mesh. They're taking that mesh and the occlusion from it. So say this box minus a couple of walls, and it's storing that information in the background on the CPU. And as soon as it's asked for, the CPU pulls it out up front instead of the GPU. So the GPU can focus on running the game, and the CPU does basically the destruction in the game. So if you tear a wall down, it does that for you. And you don't have to worry about getting a hit in performance when stuff like that happens. So they're working on that on the mobile side, and I've seen some of the videos. It's amazing that they're able to do that on something that's running on a very, very hot battery. Yeah. And one of the things they're trying to add now is cinematic depth of field, which is basically you add more than one depth of field zone. You know what depth of field is? It's just like how you change focus. They're changing things now where you can take multiple objects and have them in focus and have other things in the background be blurred out or whatever, and you can change how the blur looks. So before it's just multiple different type of circular focuses, and now you can actually select an object and put it in focus. So probably the best example is some of the stuff that they have on their page. I saw some of the stuff on there. It was like a car, and they selected the car, and the car was in focus, and everything else was blurry. Like that, you normally can't do that with a camera lens, but since this is computers, you can do that, and it looks kind of cool. So that's just one of the things they're working on now, and it'll be interesting just to see how a game built from the ground up for Switch will end up looking, doing something like that. Especially mobile, because that's really impressive if you can do that in less than 10 watts. That's par for the course. That's a technology marvel at that point. That's when you start talking about tech instead of 4K and all that. Like, what can you do with 1 watt of power? So that's just that puts the geek in me spinning. But,
yeah. And last week we kind of talked about the potential for like a Switch, like Pro version or something.
That can definitely happen.
Would that? Well, I mean, with I don't know what did the Tegra 2 ever actually come out with for devices? Because I know that was been talked about for a long time.
So I don't think anybody bought any. So the hardware is there, but I don't think any big vendor bought anything other than maybe a casino might have bought them for slot machines. But and that's normally who Nvidia sold a lot of that stuff to. So I guess a couple of car manufacturers bought the original Tegra. I think it was a Tegra 2, or a Tegra 2 or Tegra 3, one of them. I think they bought a lot of them for the car dash or something to that effect, but they don't really. Nintendo is probably the biggest purchase they've had for their mobile stuff, like ever.
Yeah, because they did ridiculous in their financial report. Like,
yeah, they made a lot of money off the Switch. So, I can only see good things going forward from here, and especially with them having Epic in their pocket, doing a lot of this stuff from the ground up. Nvidia and Epic kind of saying, "Hey, Nintendo, give us money, we'll make things happen." So,
what would be a realistic, like, new Switch or Switch Pro that would, run exactly the same architecture? But what do you think they could really improve? I mean, because we all talked about this last week, so I guess just quick. What do you think they could do, and where's the areas they could improve the most, but still be a Switch and not be that far from the original?
Well, the successor to what's inside the Switch right now was literally just for performance improvements per watt. So essentially, what it could do was it wouldn't necessarily be significantly more powerful than the current Switch you have right now. It would just be a Switch with, I don't know, all day battery life. One of those kind of situations. So there's a lot of optimizations in there where CPU taskings and GPU taskings could be done with less resources. And while you could use that to make, say, a more graphically demanding game, I think the sell is probably going to be more towards, hey, this, I could literally take this on the go for 2 days and come back, and it still is, it's still on like a phone when you first buy it.
I don't think we really even address just the fact they could do it just to improve the battery life in portable mode. I mean,
that's one of the things. Forgive me for not knowing the name of the Tegra that everybody wanted inside of this.
I think it's the X2. It's called.
Yeah, the X2. Everybody wanted that in there because they wanted to see what the significant improvements were, but most of them were for battery life for the most part.
So
has that been a big factor for anyone right down though, in terms of battery life for when you're portable? Have you
probably for the people that play
it to be longer?
If they only play in portable mode, I mean, they probably wouldn't. I mean, that'd be something to ask somebody who only plays basically in portable.
Yeah, and I mean, it could work other ways too. So imagine, every game you play is in 720p on the go. Stuff like that. So you can do more. You can do more with less, instead of the compromises that we have to do right now. There will be no compromise. Like every game would take advantage of all the pixels on that screen when you're on the go versus you having to deal with 540p in some cases or whatnot because you're running on a battery and it gets hot type of deal. Mm-hmm. But if you have a more efficient chipset, you don't have to worry about that. So it's just that's one of the big improvements I see. They could go the other way and say, hey, whatever you have slated under the Tegra line that uses Volta, and that would be their higher end GTX type chipset or whatever, then we would have a Switch that when you dock it, it competes with, say, the PS4 Pro or something to that effect. But I mean, why would you want to do that if you're going to take it and then put it in your hand? You got to imagine this is Nintendo thinking about this. They're not thinking about competing with Sony and Microsoft.
They don't have to compete, but I'd be curious to see because the new 3DS. I mean, they bumped it up a decent amount power wise, and then battery still lasts about the same. So I don't know. And last week I completely forgot to. We talked a lot about kind of what the Switch, the Pro version should be, and we mentioned how Japan's getting like the, no dock version for $200.
Yeah, that's
Imagine
cool.
a no portable version. How much cheaper would it be without a screen and it's just like the size of the dock? Just put all the innards in it and you just plug it in your TV, and it's a console only. For someone like me, that would be appealing. And how much cheaper would it be without that screen, without speakers, without I don't know what else it would.
But how much would you be willing to pay? Is I guess
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like if that was to me, yeah,
I would say it'd be at least 200 because you just subtracting 100 for the screen.
Yeah. So you're talking for
it's not worth it at that point
for the Japanese players.
Yeah, to me,
or for the portable only guy, they're talking, hey, without a dock, you can get it down to 200. Well, without a screen and detachable Joy-Cons and stuff, you could get it down to 200 for that audience too.
Mm-hmm.
So
do you feel you start splitting the Switch up too much then in terms of what its concept initially was?
And that's probably what Nintendo's afraid of.
Yeah, it might be.
But I don't think
recognition.
Yeah, but to me, like I said in the last podcast, that's something you offer up year 4.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't
At
think
that point, it won't matter.
I don't think it defeats the purpose for somebody who plays dock 99% of the time.
Right. It's like that PlayStation.
I mean, the
Vita thing that you can just hook to the TV. What's that called?
Vita TV.
Is it?
Oh no, it's Vita now.
Or is it PlayStation TV?
No, it's PlayStation TV.
There's a little box that you can stick in the Vita.
Yeah, I thought it was just called
it's PlayStation. It's either PlayStation
now, PlayStation TV or something.
Yeah, it's PlayStation
it's
TV. I think.
Yeah, just commenting on Ruby, like the Switch is already a success. We already know what it is. I mean, they can change it up now.
I want to say that part.
They could change it up now, just like it's not a Switch anymore. When you're selling a SKU, I mean, yeah, you can buy the dock, but if you're buying a Switch as a portable device, then it's not a Switch because there's Clock that knows somebody who's literally never even taken the dock out of the box. It's not a Switch to them. It's a portable.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I guess because the selling point of the Switch is that I can play console games on the go, not, I guess I can now just play console games in this box.
To me, it's just it's another Wii U with longer range. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, everyone has their own perception.
Yeah, I don't think
like as far as the general media consensus, like the general populace.
Is that, hey, I can play these console games on the go. I hear that a lot, and I probably even said it. But when it all comes down to it, for someone like me, that's not really a selling point anymore because I don't bring it to work anymore. I don't. Yeah, when I went to Colorado, it was nice, but if I had the option, I can't tell you I wouldn't have just bought the $200 version that only connects to my TV.
Oh no, I understand that there is a base for it, but it's exactly what he was saying. That's not really like a year 1 or 2 thing.
No.
Yeah,
it's like PlayStation TV. It's called, and it's $99. Like that would be enticing for a lot of parents. You're like, all right, I'll get you this new console. Even if it is like an old Switch that only hooks up to the TV, it's something that's $99 with a lot of great games on that your kids can play like that.
Yeah, I mean 200 with the Pro Controller or something.
Or with the Pro Controller, maybe 150 or something like that.
But I think the reason why the Switch has sold more than anything else is not so much just that you can play console games on the go. It was the option to play how you want to play.
Freedom.
At the end of the day,
freedom.
They
like freedom.
That's how the PSP and the Vita was sold. Yeah, console games on the go and stuff like that. That's how they sold the PSP. Let's get GTA 3 on there, and Vice City Stories and all this stuff on there. You can play all these same games on the go. But
it self-advertises too. So like you're like, hey, how was that game look? I don't know. Why don't you look for yourself? It's right here. And then well, how does it play? Here, grab a controller.
On the go doesn't mean you have to hop into your car with it and drive away with it. It could be in your damn house, like you in the couch,
sitting on your bed. You don't want to be on your TV.
I said it a billion times. Like one thing I hate about having a game room is that I'm in a man cave away from everybody. Not interacting with my family. So having that Switch where I can just sit in the living room and play it and still be around my family,
That's why
Yeah,
cool
last
thing.
week I said,
you could concern yourself with like saving $100 or whatever just by having the console just plugged to the TV. But the fact that you pay the extra $100 and have the option
Mhm.
to just, if you just want to do it that one time, you're like, oh shit, I'm tired, I just want to lie in bed, but I still want to carry on playing this game, then you can.
Yeah.
If you didn't have the option, then you can't.
Yeah, it's
So
like with me. Like the only reason I even know what the PlayStation TV is because it's something that intrigued me. It's like I don't really want to buy a Vita. I don't want to buy another handheld, but I do. There are games on it that I want, and I'm like, there's an option. I already have a controller. All I need is that little black box, and I can play Vita games. So
I think we're missing something else that's like one of the critical things regarding this system as well, like with regard to convenience. Even if there was a Switch version, a Pro version that didn't have a screen, it would still have one of the greatest things about the Switch, and that's the fact that you could just plop it in any dock around the house. So if you have multiple docks, you just, I want to play this high level console game or whatever. Say it supports 4K. Well, now I can move in 4K on this TV, then go from this TV and go to this monitor so I can record it for whatever video I want to upload. Like you don't have to have 12 PS4s like, some people do to be able to play in every room of the house.
Maybe it's not a dock. Maybe it's a cheaply plastic little hub.
Maybe it's just the dock filled in.
Yeah, maybe exactly.
Just conserve cost, but who knows? It's probably not. It's nothing going to happen soon. But I completely forgot about that during our.
Well, it could. The patent's out there. It was the same patent for the Nintendo Switch. They got everything right. The dock was in that same patent. Mm-hmm. And the Foxconn leak, it was in the same Foxconn leak. So it's around somewhere. The question is it for testing only? Is it for development only? Or is it something they plan to use possibly, I don't know, to bridge the gap between now and whatever 10th gen would be for them?
Mm-hmm. No, it's interesting. I mean, this is we see this happen all the time. Engines, just getting better, optimizations getting better, and it's been some of the most exciting things I've been looking forward to. We've started seeing it anyway. Games that are specifically designed to take advantage of what the Switch can do, built up, ground up for that console.
Did we mention storage?
What's that say?
Did we mention internal storage? They can obviously bump up the internal storage.
Yes. That would instantly get them profit too.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be nice.
At least 128.
1 terabyte, add $100.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point as well. I don't think we actually mentioned that one last time.
No, we forgot that.
I don't think we mentioned it, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite a few things. No, it's good. Yeah, okay. So do we have any more thoughts on NVIDIA and or once again the Switch future in terms of game optimizations and what to expect from the console?
I'd just like to hope that one of the benefits of maybe Metroid Prime 4 not being out, maybe not coming out till end of 2019, is that they can really get the most out of the Switch, because we haven't seen a Metroid in HD yet, and I would think hopefully it's kind of a showcase visual.
Did you see that mock-up of Metroid Prime on Unreal Engine 4? That one, you need to check it out. It's freaking gorgeous.
Yeah, well, that's that could be a plus to them not having a game and not having it ready for this year. Is they can get the most out of it in year 3.
I think there's one game that
like, people are worried about the power of the Switch and what it can and can't do. Like Metroid Prime on the GameCube still looks amazing. Like to me, still looks really good. And it's one of the best, easily the best looking game on the console. And that was like an early game. Like, so you don't know what people can do, the right people can do with this hardware.
Yeah. So that's the other thing as well. So look at things that people thought couldn't happen on the Switch. Look at Doom and Wolfenstein and whatnot. And then these people, they don't have all the tools that Nintendo has.
Right.
And they're using middleware. They're not using Nintendo's tools. So whoever is going to be building this game, apparently it's Namco. Maybe Retro's helping out and Nintendo EAD is helping out. But imagine they have all the internal tools and they're building this engine. You got to imagine the engine's probably done already. They're just looking for people to code different graphic stuff and whatnot. So they're building this for the Switch from the ground up. It's never going to be ported to anything else. And they probably built it with portable in mind. So you're talking at least 720p butter smooth at this point that they're working on. So that's probably going to look pretty good. That I would not doubt how it's going to end up looking, because they're going to start with it working good first, and then they add all the little bells and whistles after that. So I'm waiting to be pleasantly surprised.
Art design.
Yes, there's also that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
Nice. All right. So let's move on. And for the end, Joe, I love Shadow Fox's input just then, because it's not very often that we get too deep into the tech side of it. So it's nice to have
You don't know the shit we talk about.
But
I mean, we could just make an article about it and then just send it to the comment section. Just say what they think about it. Watch the subs increase
exponentially.
It makes you appreciate game design, just a bit more as well. What goes on in the background, and we all have an idea.
Very interesting stuff.
But but it's, you still learn some new stuff. So yeah, I actually found that pretty good. So yeah, I mean, just for the end of the show, I thought we'd talk about something I thought might be a bit fun, and I know T might be interested in this topic as well. And it was actually it was sparked off a little bit by Juice and his last opinions, where he was doing his usual lamenting about Nintendo and their offerings this year.
It's like the daily thing with them. We expect them to be better.
But we buy Nintendo consoles because we love Nintendo games, right? And over the years, Nintendo has worked with their second parties. They've worked with other companies, partnerships and stuff, to try and get some new IPs going, work on existing IPs, and to get a consistent array of games going on throughout the years in multiple genres. So what I wanted to bring up first of all is, what companies do you feel that Nintendo should have taken a gamble on, perhaps should have bought when they worked with them in the past, and then later on we, depending on time and stuff, we might trickle into what companies you feel like they should possibly look into and invest into today to try and expand their diversity. We always look back to Rare, yeah, and Rare worked on Nintendo IP, but they also worked on their own IP. And because they'd done that, the N64 became the console that it was. The N64 would not be the same without Rare's input. There's no doubt about it, with GoldenEye and Perfect Dark and Banjo and Conker and Diddy Kong Racing and all this stuff, right? And when Retro Studios first came along, a part of me hoped that they would be the new Rare. They'd done Metroids and Metroid Primes, and they started working on Donkey Kong and stuff, and then you started hoping that they'd be able to start weaving in their own IPs, but this hasn't happened yet. And Nintendo have worked with other partners, Platinum Games and stuff like this. But yeah, I just wanted to see what you guys thought about older companies. Me and Tia were huge fans of Factor 5. We also mentioned like Acclaim and Midway, and we also talk about current Nintendo second parties who aren't doing as much as they would like to do, or we would like them to do. For example, with Camelot Software, who have seemed to have got stuck doing sports games, and Golden Sun has been abandoned and stuff like this, where you feel like another Nintendo RPG instead of just Xenoblade or whatever would be great to turn up roundabout now, after Xenoblade has been out for X amount of months, and people are slowly weaning off it.
Paper Mario.
Yeah, so yeah, we got Paper Mario. Well, that's from Intelligent Systems, right? But Intelligent Systems are busy. They do Paper Marios, they do Fire Emblems. They're pumping stuff out. So yeah, let's get started on let's start with you then, T. So what old company that Nintendo used to work
Mr.
with?
Bodon. Yeah,
Mr. Bodon.
Well, I mean, you already mentioned like Factor 5. That was their chance to get another Rare, because that's what Rare was really good at, is tech, and people forget that because of the awesome games they put out on N64, but I would like to think, or I would believe that those games wouldn't be as good if it was on a Nintendo, once for Nintendo backing. Because if you look at Rare before and after, Nintendo trash plus trash. They haven't really done anything of significance. I mean, maybe Battletoads, I think was obviously before Nintendo, but post, that was their only IP. I think that was like, standout big thing. So obviously they missed the boat with Factor 5, and they went bankrupt right after what's that dragon game that Layer sent them in bankruptcy, pretty much. Yeah. So I think they missed the boat big time on THQ. They should have snatched up THQ.
Definitely.
I'm not
about them. My God.
I mean, THQ looks like they're in capable hands with Nordic right now, so that's a good thing. But man, that would have been a nice acquisition for Nintendo to snatch up a Western company like that that could have done stuff that Nintendo doesn't do. You know, imagine if Battle Chasers was exclusive, and obviously Darksiders, that series I love. So Darksiders 3 exclusive, like that would have been a huge thing for Nintendo at this point. So anyway,
well, when you mentioned Darksiders, I mean at the same time everyone mentioned it as a darker Zelda,
a darker Zelda. It basically
elements. So you would have two different adventure games in your catalog there. You know, for not so much.
I would say the first one,
but
the first one was more linear than a Zelda game, even because you're literally just going from beginning to end. But 2, obviously. Darksiders 2 is the one that I think most people consider very Zelda-like, and I would agree with that. And it's just a really good series that I think would have been a great series on if Nintendo had pulled that trigger. And then obviously Atlas was just like dangling right in their face. Atlas was just like right there. Hey, come buy us. And they just would not do it. It's just like, and I mean, it's a Japanese company, the company they're really familiar with. And they just let Sega come in and buy them, and I'm like, wow, okay, well.
Yeah, Terrell, what were your thoughts on? I mean, you know, being a Sega boy is one of the Alice fan.
It's weird. It's weird. It really is. I think it's hard because obviously the IP I care the most about from Sega is the one that they're only focusing on pushing. Other than recently, they've been pushing Yakuza and Valkyria Chronicles. But I think Sega would have made a lot of sense, personally. I think, although I'm not sure if I would.
What happened?
He's
killed him, man. He laughed and he croaked.
No, I was interrupted in mid-statement and it pissed me off. Anyway, sorry. That completely. My mother literally walked in the room.
I knew it. I knew it.
My mom,
I didn't hear you, but
my mom walked into the room. I tried to ignore it, and of course, she wasn't coming here and messing with stuff.
Completely threw you off.
So the owl wasn't me; it was her. It was because I tapped her on the arm, and I was like, "Fuck! Yeah, I guess we're not. I can't make it. I couldn't make it through it. So fuck it. All right, she left. It's fine. No." But
time to leave the nest, man.
I wouldn't. Thanks for the reminder. Just you think I don't know that? It's not like I live here or anything. That's fucking ridiculous. No, but it's weird because I don't know how much better Nintendo would have done with Sega. Now Atlas, I think they should have got. I think Atlas, if not Atlas, because the fact that Sega got them, and it was like, why in the hell did that happen?
Yeah, how did Sega have the capital to buy Atlas? You know, like.
Well, and I can't, but see, at the same time, that kind of worked out for Nintendo anyway, since Sega's already cool with Nintendo. Personally, like, as much as I wouldn't have minded it, I don't think it hurt them too badly not to have them.
Because they're still getting all the games.
Yeah, because they still get all the games. That's why, like, to me, it would have had to have been a third-party company that doesn't put most of their stuff on Nintendo's consoles. Actually, I think one that would have been a smart idea would have been Konami. Particularly because all their stuff started on Nintendo, and those IPs still have a lot of market value. obviously the most famous ones probably being Castlevania, Metal Gear, and I want to say Bomberman, but I recognize that Bomberman isn't as big as I like to pretend like he is. But I think that would have been a better choice. Because to me, picking a third-party company for them to take, it would have made more sense to get ones that don't touch that their IPs don't show up on Nintendo consoles. And there aren't a lot of companies you could do that with. And T took all the fucking good ones. So yeah,
you're welcome.
I'll leave it at that because I can't. I got to think about it more. But those are the. Oh, and I guess Square maybe.
Another studio I was going to mention was Acclaim, which we
Acclaim, yeah,
which we mentioned before. So if you think back to like the N64 era, and
that was one of the wasn't it one of their Dream Team companies?
Yeah,
and it kind of happened because they acquired Retro. They were formerly Iguana, so
yeah, Iguana Entertainment. Yeah, exactly. Well, Acclaim bought them up as well, and Acclaim themselves, they had quite a few companies underneath that umbrella. They were getting there, but obviously it all went tits up as we know. But tits up, sorry, that's such a British saying. I don't know if you guys say that. But I mean, games like Turok and stuff, they for me they seem so synonymous with the N64 Nintendo hardware back then. It's I kind of still feel that they Nintendo. I mean, the fact that this Turok reboot remaster has come out everywhere, but the Switch as well. I'm still twitching about that. And recently, who developed Forsaken? Remember Forsaken 64?
That was a
different company.
That was a Doom Engine game. I'm trying to think which.
Yeah.
What did Acclaim publish that one too?
Game, I think.
It might have been. Let's have a quick look.
It was a mod of the Hexen engine, I thought.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It was.
It was Midway.
The publisher was Acclaim. Yeah.
It was Acclaim. Okay.
Yeah. Who's it? Oh, and then the and the developer was essentially Acclaim, but it was Probe Entertainment and Iguana,
that's who it was, yeah.
Iguana Entertainment, who Acclaim bought up, didn't they? So, so when we look at back to when we think about Nintendo's umbrella of games and all the different genres that they have and they try to represent, there's no denying that there's holes in places, and you try to think of what studios would be the best studios to help fill these holes. And like I said, at one point I thought Retro Studios were going to be that company, and I don't think they'll ever be it.
They let what was their name? I guess they became Rockstar, but they let
DMA Design.
DMA Design. Man, they let those guys get away. They started the GTA basically on N64 with Body Harvest. So
yep.
You guys, seems like an obvious answer. I'm surprised no one took it yet. Nintendo, and maybe it would have worked out better if they had bought Rare instead of let Microsoft.
I'm just over that. Yeah. I didn't forget about
I
saw Microsoft. I
know that they had a little difference of opinion with that whole Star Fox Adventures, but I mean that's one they let slip away right there.
The only thing about Rare is, according to the Stamper Brothers, they were leaving anyway.
Yeah,
and things as soon as they left, things were not the same.
Yeah, they said that was one of their biggest mistakes was selling to Microsoft. They said they wish they hadn't done it. They had to do it again.
Well, we all know that past of history stuff. Pretty much. Both sides got greedy in a sense.
I don't blame them.
And all that stuff. They were doing so well.
Making money, and
but like you said, at the same time, do you feel like sometimes there's a reason why there has to be some big reason why Nintendo don't buy up some of these companies, the ones that they have great partnerships with and they nurture up, and then things just seem to just fall flat.
Arrogance. That's
from Nintendo's side.
From Nintendo, they feel like they can, they weren't too. They feel like they were a big part of the companies that work with them success. They're like, well, we can just find another group of people and make this happen again.
And if,
But even if that's true, why do that? Like, you already got these people. You've already been groomed by you.
and I think it's kind of looking more and more plausible. Well, not more. I mean, we heard the rumblings from an ex-retro employee that there's no good leadership and games are getting
Did we hear
canceled. That? And that was kind of it was a post by an ex-retro employee who's obviously disgruntled. But I mean, when you get one game, but in between Donkey Kong Country Returns, which was 2010, we've had one retro game since 2010. Since that game launched, then all we had was Tropical Freeze in the last 8 years.
Well, they've been credited on other stuff.
They've helped with things, but
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because retro has had a troubled development history from day one.
Yeah, that's where I was going with that. Like, they had games that never saw the light of day, and their output's definitely not where it should be. I mean, there's no reason.
It reminds me of DMA. That's exactly what happened with DMA. Nintendo said, "Oh, they did something cool. They let them go out there and basically spend Nintendo's money, and didn't have anything worth showing." When Nintendo came to the meeting, it was like, "Oh, what is this trash? We're going to cut off this. We're going to cut this off," and Nintendo basically forced them into what game they were making. Mm-hmm. It's very similar to what happened with early retro. Mm-hmm. And retro themselves haven't made much as a studio outside of Metroid Prime and Donkey Kong Country.
If you talk to certain people, they say retro's history isn't anything to brag about. They made one good game, and it's funny that it's Retro Studios and it's Retro Death who always says,
"Wow."
But
this is what happens when you're not here, man.
I know. Way to throw in that opinion, but I don't think Platinum Games was ever up for sale or anything. But that if Nintendo could get them,
you always hear rumors from Platinum Games that you always heard rumors that I'm sure they said this themselves. I mean, don't quote me on this, and I'd have to dig back into it. But it was either rumors and stuff. But I'm sure we heard that Platinum said themselves that they would that they would work for Nintendo full time or whatever. Whether that was for them to buy them out or just to constantly work on Nintendo IPs whenever they asked them or whatever, and stuff like that. But
I've heard both sides. I guess I've heard Platinum doesn't want to be bought.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
I would say
now they don't because now they finally want to get own their own IPs, right? Yeah. They said whatever they're working on now is they're gonna own their IPs, right? So because they've
why don't they just buy Grasshopper Manufacturer as well and just make Suda 51 a permanent employee?
Right.
They would work well together. Yeah, no doubt about it. Those type of developers, they have a similar mindset, and I would agree on that.
I've got two that Nintendo clearly slipped on. One of them is Next Level Games. They want to be nothing but independent now. But there was a time when Nintendo could have bought them 2 or 3 times.
Those who get together that Ghibli feel, that Japanese feel as well. It's just
they made the Strikers games. They made hockey games. Yeah. They made the Punch Out games. A couple Transformers games. They ported Ghost Recon to the Wii. A lot of talent there, and of course Luigi's Mansion. But then Federation Force is the latest farce that everybody wants to say that they're bad developers now, and I'm like, nah, not really. They're still good.
Weren't Brownie Brown part of Next Level 5, or were they separate?
Remember Brownie Brown is One Up Studio now. They're actually part of Nintendo
that's
now.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, where's Next Level's game at?
Is it Brownie Brown X Square people?
Yes, they're X Square. Brownie Brown is X Square.
RPG that never released, was it? I can't remember what the RPG was called.
That's why this 2018 for this lineup from Nintendo is so puzzling, because they have all these companies that haven't made games in a long time. That's why I just could not believe there hasn't been more out in 2018. It just doesn't make any sense.
I partially feel like it was by design. I feel like Nintendo initially had more stuff for this year, but because of the way the Switch was selling, they might have pushed some stuff back because they wanted to cultivate third parties on the system. You can see with their partnerships, with the Fortnites and the Paladins, and now we got whatchamacallit coming. What's the game?
Warframe.
Warframe.
Yeah.
I think that's stuff that started coming
right
together in the last 8 months, even because it was like, the Switch is good to go. Now we can make sure we shore up our third party, so we don't have to, carry the load ourselves.
If you feel it's the year of the third party,
2019 is going to probably be nasty when it comes to
because the last time they got it wrong, they were just like, look, we put this system out here, it runs 360 games, go third parties, go. We didn't even put a Mario out yet. Well, we put like a 2D Mario out, go. And they're like, here's some of these ports, and then they try the next year. So Nintendo was like, okay, really? We don't have another big game down the pipe for another 3 years. And so that was just one of those things. I guess they learned their lesson. They're like, well, we just come out swinging when we bring our product out. So
people are completely baffled by Bomberman selling over 1 million copies of Super Bomberman R, and I'm like, why? There was only Zelda next to it. Like that was by design. So that's why that game sold so many copies.
All right, sorry, I didn't mean to cut in there, Shadow.
Oh no, you're fine. The other one that I had, I don't know if anybody else was thinking about them or not, was Left Field Productions. They had a chance to buy them
Left Field.
way back in the day too, because that was all the realistic sports games. They did all of those. NBA Courtside, they did. Yeah, they did a lot of Dave Mirra games. They did it Site by 64, and they did 1080 snowboarding as well.
Yeah.
Really? What about? Wasn't there like a black box studio that did sports games? Am I thinking of that wrong?
It was it was Left Field Productions did the majority of them for Nintendo, and then NST did the other ones. Because they did Wave Race and some other stuff. So it was pretty much those two studios.
Okay.
My theory on Left Field is that it's EA. That's the reason Left Field even was probably formed, especially as hard as it was on N64, because EA was BSing around when it came to N64 in the beginning. So Left Field came out and made some sports games. So we have some sports games on N64, and then eventually EA came around with Madden, and then you got other basketball games like In the Zone and whatnot. And by the time you got the Courtside, what was it called? 2000 or
2002.
2002 on GameCube. That game was garbage. It was
and that's Left Field bought like 100% stake in the company at that point, and then they left. So and then they became third party after that. Yeah. But at least they still did Nintendo stuff. But Nintendo could have outright bought them in the late 90s. They could have done it. I
feel like Nintendo felt like they didn't need them because they were bored out of it, the fact that we didn't have any EA. And once the EA came back, they didn't.
Yeah. Once they saw that EA was back on the GameCube, they kind of said, okay.
Got interferences.
Yeah, Mike sounded a little funny for a second there.
Who was that?
Shadow.
Am I going in and out again?
Yeah, it sounded like a pot. Yeah, it's like a weird.
Sounds like giant fly wings flapping.
I got one that I'm glad Nintendo didn't pursue. I don't know if you want to go there.
Do it.
All right, because they look promising, but I think Nintendo saw what their plans were and got just let them go, and that's the Dennis Dyack and his Two Human series.
Yeah.
Wasn't he going to make like 9 Two Human games? Like it was supposed to be like a 9-part series, and it just was.
The series started on the PlayStation original, and they finally got it out. What for 360?
Xbox 360? It was an Unreal Engine issue. They didn't like that their character models were looking like what's the Gears of War, and then it just turned out to be just a boring. It's what's the word? When he had too many ideas, and it was just
he was very arrogant though. I mean, I was gonna mention Silicon Knights because whenever you mention you already think of 2 games, which is Eternal Darkness and Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. Right?
Which I was playing today, which I thought was really weird that you brought them up. Before we got on, I was just playing that.
Yeah, but I mean, you hear the rumblings in the past with Dennis Dyack, and when he got dragged onto Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, supposedly he didn't like it because Eternal Darkness done so well and it was a fresh new IP. He didn't like being dragged onto an existing IP or whatever. Supposedly that Nintendo got him, dragged him onto there and got him to do Twin Snakes, and you hear all these things, and that's when the partnership went sour, I believe. I can't remember the press. I mean, this was a while ago. I think the usual. Both parted ways on similar terms or whatever and stuff. But that's another thing. Some of these. It's not another rare, but it's another one where these where these companies can work with Nintendo, do well, get arrogant, and then mess things up. And
one good idea.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah.
That's the problem though. When if let's say they had an idea for a game they wanted to make, and Nintendo, they gotta wait. Nintendo finally sees it. It's like, nah, we don't like that. Scrap it. It's like, I can see that you kind of want to do your own thing and be successful, but at the same time, when you do work on a project and you do make a game, like, even though it might not be what you want to do, it's your company's still in business. You're still, you're secure there. You're making something, you're working, and you're being successful, but you're not. It's just the it's not the greed, but like
the lights are on.
Almost like a selfishness, like, hey, we're Silicon Knights, we should be able to make the games we want, and it seems to happen with everybody, Rare, and it's like,
well, with the tech heavy guys, the guys who love their tech, right? But I never got the one company I never got that from was Factor 5.
No, Factor 5 wasn't like that.
You mentioned earlier that some of these companies, they weren't just good at making games, they were good at tech, and Factor 5. One of my biggest memories from the N64 was really first experiencing surround sound because of like Rogue Squadron and stuff.
Oh yeah, I had the Dolby Pro Logic.
The sound in all their games was absolutely mint. I used to test out my surround sound speakers because you could have the TIE Fighter fly around the logo and stuff, and you could hear it from left to right, in front to behind and stuff. And these guys were, like I said, they were exceptional at sound design. They were working with LucasArts, and they were just
on a cartridge, by the way, not on CD.
That's what I mean. Working with that hardware on a cartridge, they were just they were gods. And I just even when things started going wrong towards the end, they were still working secretly on Nintendo stuff. Rogue Squadron 3 they were working on that we heard about, and what was they were working possibly on Pilot Wings.
Oh no, what
was it?
There is a Rogue Squadron 3. There already is one. That's the one I think.
What was I thinking of? They had one with lightsaber battles as well.
Yeah, you were talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Jeez, thank you, Google.
And you back, and he's back in the mood.
It's horrible.
But
I got a trivia question.
Or Pilot Wings? Pilot Wings, you said, right?
Yeah, and I mentioned We Fly, which they released a video of on YouTube not long ago, and I think one other YouTube channel worked with it, and they were showing what they were working on, and it was going to be on the Wii, and it was going to use the Wii's 24-hour clock, and you can go around the globe and stuff. It just looked incredible.
The game was finished, right? I thought it was a finished game.
I think it was pretty much done. Yeah. And they were just there, and then you just you're at the cusp of working. Just grab that company who's working on your hardware, doing things you're not doing. Working the magic that you work. Just grab them and take them. Even from a tech point of view, it's get these guys working with you to elevate your games even further.
But you're also taking them away from your competition. That's another thing you're doing while you're buying them.
And then you see what happens when they do go away. You get Leia, and then they die. Yeah. When someone like Sony steps in, I'm not saying I'm not trying to label Sony as a bad guy here, or even Microsoft as a bad guy, but that's what they do. They can buy up these companies, and as soon as things start going wrong, you kick them out. But then I suppose can you look at Nintendo that same way? Do they kick them out, or do they just sit there and let them go when they
and wait.
Yeah, they just sit there and wait, and you just think, just get your thumb out of your ass and get working with these guys. Like, and sorry, Juice, what was you gonna say?
I was gonna say you're talking about Factor 5 doing the surround sound. I remember the
Dolby Pro Logic 2.
Pro Logic 2. I remember the first time, because Nintendo never had the optical. PlayStation 2 had a fiber optic cable. Xbox. I'm trying to think, what was it, N64 or GameCube that had the first Pro Logic 2 game?
GameCube. Well, GameCube had it technically. It was just Dolby Pro Logic on the N64.
Yeah, it wasn't immediate, because I remember the first game that utilized it. I actually bought a new surround receiver within that year.
It must have been Rogue Squadron, surely. That was
Rogue Squadron 2 had it.
Rogue Squadron 2,
I remember it being. I remember a game where you're walking around and there was like flames, and if you turn the camera, it was because I was like testing the surround sound, and I was like, holy crap, I can hear it behind me for the first time playing a Nintendo system. I can hear something in the rear right speaker, and then when I pan, it's in the rear left speaker, and I cannot for the love of me remember. I swear it was one, if not the first one, it was the first couple that had the Pro Logic 2 support, and I just cannot remember. It might have been
Star Fox. It was Star Fox Adventures.
No, it was a more realistic style game.
Well, Pro Logic 2 was in Rogue Leader. And it supported 5 channels, kind of like alternating. It wasn't like discrete. It was more like stereo plus a subwoofer behind you, but the other 2 channels were mirrors of the other. They just alternated.
They played like basically your rear speakers were in mono, like they were playing the same sound effect.
Yeah.
Later on, there was individual. The surrounds worked in stereo.
Yes, that was 2X. And that was in Rogue Leader and some other games too, I think, where it was Dolby Pro Logic 2X.
Okay. There was definitely a game I had that was just for that purpose. I wanted to, and I bought a new surround sound receiver just to experience it. And maybe it was Eternal Darkness. I cannot remember at this point.
It might have been Eternal Darkness.
It might have been, yeah.
Because it used it too.
Well, that was Silicon Knights, don't forget. So I mean, they were up there with the tech as well.
Good idea.
That was also one of the few games that were in widescreen.
That sold 500.
Keeps on saying.
They had one good idea that sold 500,000 copies, and they thought they were king shit.
Yeah, look at them now.
Not that the game should have sold more than that. It's just it happened to be on the GameCube that wasn't selling well at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't for the lack of trying. Nintendo tried to pimp it as much as they could for an M-rated game, but
you still feel a lot of people.
It was the install base. They didn't have a big enough install base to sell.
Yeah.
But Factor 5 were legends. They wrote music middleware. They wrote DivX middleware. They created DivX for the N64 and the GameCube. They created musics for both of those.
Do you remember that Tornado music sample?
I still have it.
Oh, dude, it was so. Me and my friend, we used to listen to that over and over. We were like, "Holy shit, man! This sounds incredible. I can't believe this is going to be on this console."
and that's what I'm saying. Like when you have a company like them, like even Rare to some extent, like I said, they were pretty good with tech. That's one of the things they got Nintendo really interested. Obviously, look what they did with Donkey Kong Country series on Super Nintendo. You have them, and you have like you said, Factor 5. The thing about them is that they can go on and help you with your hardware. Like, it's not just what they can do in games; it's what they can help to set your hardware up on a good, have it. When you're working in your new hardware like the Switch, they can go in and help you design certain things that would help those games, beyond what you would be able to do on your own. And that's why they're more invaluable than just having a game studio.
It's like a tech company like that. Forcing Microsoft to put double the RAM of the Xbox 360.
Yeah. Right. I would say Factor 5 is even more important because they're old school developers from back in the day. They will go to ones and zeros if need be to make stuff work. And nobody else does that anymore.
Yeah. I mean, these guys were they were like Amiga and Atari and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
they do like, and then obviously they
did
got more famous then with like the Turrican series and everything like that. I mean,
Did you hear about like Alien Colonial Marines? How the AI was messed up because of one word was misspelled in the code.
Oh my god.
oh yeah,
Yeah, so the AI was totally screwed because they misspelled one word. I can't remember what the word was. And the game, I guess they fixed it recently. Some savvy fan or whatever that's good with that stuff patched it in, and the game plays way better now. Just because they went in and patched the one word misspelled.
But yeah, I got no sympathy whatsoever because at the end of the day,
No, I know, and I'm just saying that
they would have been testing this before. They're saying something's not right here, man.
That's what I'm saying. Those guys totally botched it because they were passing it off to everybody and saying, "Oh yeah, we're doing great things with the Wii U."
That's on the publisher. That's on the publisher for allowing that. That's
Right.
just that's horrible. I mean, developers just don't do like that.
Happen if you had the right people in place. You won't have to worry about that kind of stuff, and they can elevate what you're doing in your games, and not just what they can do on their own games. So,
yeah, Factify was like, "Hey, we don't have this one shader here. We see it's capable in hardware, but it's not working. So we wrote it for you. Here you go. You can add that to your toolkit, Nintendo." And Nintendo's like, "We don't want to do that. Well, we will then. We'll just give it to other developers. It's fine. They can email us."
Yeah, it's mental. I mean, those guys were. I don't want to just focus on Factify, but for me personally, that's the one studio that I feel is their biggest fuck up really in terms of not acquiring. For all the reasons that we've mentioned.
Rocky has a great list in the comments or in the chat. You got HAL, Intelligent,
all the second parties.
Yeah,
I was
going to say Pokemon Company. This just the obvious.
It's so weird. They don't own all these, like outright own them. It's just like, what are you guys doing?
Would they? I mean, in terms of the Pokemon Company, can they outright buy them?
They've got some stake in them. They just don't have 100%.
But it's the thing.
Yeah, they don't have. They have. I think
they don't even own HAL.
But it's so weird because a Pokemon company can't break off and still be the Pokemon Company.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nintendo owns Pokemon.
Yeah,
so
it's just the weirdest. So it's just like
It's just like Microsoft not owning the Forza Horizon studio, whoever forget their name.
Oh yeah,
until now.
Is it Turn-10?
No, that's the Forza team, but the Forza Horizon's a separate team.
Oh,
they bought them. Oh wow, that you bought 5 studios. Well, you're still getting a Forza Horizon every other year, so that accomplished nothing.
Like I said, like out of the 5 studios they bought, only Ninja Theory to me is the only noteworthy one. And
the list that Rocky I put, like all those people pretty much are making games for Nintendo anyway, so it's like.
But it's just weird to have them kind of dangling out there. You never know what could happen.
But I mean, going back to you, Juice. I mean, this is what we're talking about in terms of all these studios are making games, but I mean, normally we talk about games that we want the real meat. So if you're going to pick, the real meat between if Camelot released Super Mario Tennis Aces and then Golden Sun 4. Which one would you feel would be the meatiest in terms of to grab your attention more than anything else? I mean, personally for me, it'd be Golden Sun 4 because that's big. I mean, it's going to be each to their own, but when we are looking at the meat that I'm talking about, the Mario Tennis games and stuff like that just aren't there. I mean, Intelligent Systems they've got Paper Mario and Fire Emblem, and they're doing a HAL I feel could be doing more. But I mean, they're doing Kirby and they still dabble in Smash Bros. I wonder how much they do.
I mean, it's technically their engine.
Smash.
Can you do Kid Icarus while you filling around?
Yeah, man, we hope so. We can only hope.
That's the thing, though. We're looking. We did call it Nintendo a little bit, but imagine. I mean, Nintendo's a blame to probably takes a lot of the blame too for these companies, and maybe they just don't have good ideas, and maybe their games just don't impress. But I think they maybe have put too tight a leash on some of these studios over the years, and they're kind of maybe holding their creativity back, and saying, No, let's just make a Kirby game. Maybe
Let's
they want to make.
Let's make a Super Mario Party. Let's just do that.
Yeah, like.
Oh my God!
What about the team that had to make Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival or something like?
Oh yeah, let's just make that. That was a genius idea. Like, why wasting resources on that thing?
I do like the tech on Super Mario Party though. I'm not hating
the
two screens.
All I'm saying is that there's 20 Mario Party games and
oh god,
2 Kid Icarus games. That's all I'm saying.
Hey man, chill out. Listen, this aggression's going to have to chill out. I feel like this has been years building up.
So what is Hudson doing now? Because they don't do those anymore. So what is Hudson doing? Is there Adventure Island or something they plan on publishing? Or
I don't know.
They helped out on Go Vacation.
you talking about the HD re-release? You talking about the original?
Yeah, HD re-release.
Well, whoop de do. We got some upgrades, graphics. Look at that water, T. That thing looks so clear. That water looks so clear.
$49.99.
Oh, bitch.
I mean, when you look back, when you had the Wii U and the 3DS, right? And I suppose you could look at the 3DS and the Switch now. I mean, there's no denying that between the platforms, Nintendo pump out more software than anyone else.
No, not even close. It's not.
They're first parties, second parties. They support 2 systems fully, and we do get the chicken. We do get the chicken, and we get the chicken nuggets as well. But
there are certain things that happen that make us expect more. Obviously, them consolidating the 3DS team. What was that? A couple of years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
For
this purpose, but
for this purpose. So we were expecting. Well, the 3DS has stupid variety. Like as far as they even brought back Kid Icarus, by the way. It had a new Luigi's Mansion. Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon is amazing.
Yeah. Who we said next level games. Next level games.
So why? That's what. So we were all expecting those companies to now be able to free up and be able to do these things. And obviously, 3DS isn't getting any real games from Nintendo and their second party.
Perhaps we're just asking. I mean, maybe we are asking too much too soon. I mean, we have to remember that the Switch has only been out for a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
In terms of life, perhaps we are asking too much too soon. But then at the same time, we're it's our secretive Nintendo that we love. But can also make us twitch, I
don't need these games now. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah. But I'm like, that's what you just said, the secret of Nintendo. I would like them to kind of go away a little bit. And because there's no need for that anymore. There was a need for that during the NES, Super Nintendo. Not really anymore. You can talk about stuff you're working on.
But do you want total transparency with Nintendo? Do you really want to see what Star Fox looked like before they finished it?
No. I just want to hear, we're working on a new Star Fox. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Yeah, because they're just a think tank of ideas. A lot of stuff is literally on a sheet of paper. They don't, and then they get the game systems down first before they do anything else.
Right.
So it's kind of
the development process is different with them too. It's like they could be working on something for a year and decide, nope, not going to put that out. They finished Star Fox 2 and was like, nah, we'll pass.
Yeah, while you were talking about that, I was typing in the chat. And
Ruby's got flip mode.
Yeah, now we're talking about how the 3DS, the handheld and the console teams basically join forces. Mm-hmm. That's just another factor to my disappointment with 2018. Like, there's no excuses. There's so many. They have so many teams, and the 3DS between 3DS and Wii U or Game Boy Advance and GameCube or DS and Wii, there was all these games always coming out. Like, now these teams are all making for one system. Where are the games?
I was thinking the excuse was mobile.
And
hey man, don't talk to me about that. I know what you're about to say.
I'm gonna say it because it makes a lot of sense. Why is Dylan Dead Heat Breakers only on 3DS?
I agree.
With what we just talked about, the merging of the studios, why is that game?
They had so many 3DS IPs as well.
Yeah, there's a bunch of 3DS exclusive IPs. That's what kills me.
Pull Blocks and what was his name? Box Boy. Well, that was a Kirby team. That was hell, wasn't it? Box Boy.
Why isn't there a 3DS at least, or a collection for the other Dylan games at least, and then give us Dead Heat Breakers? The dude who did what's that gun game? It's like
Gunman Clive.
Gunman Clive.
Gunman Clive.
He
Yeah.
made it for 3DS.
yeah.
It's one dude, and then he made a Wii U version, and he did that by himself.
That's sold quite well, I believe, as well.
Why can't why can't Nintendo do that?
I bought that on the 3DS.
One guy on his own.
Yeah.
And I just want to, real quick, because I'm sick of typing and it being misunderstood. Ruby, I understand.
What's going on?
Nintendo's been they let some of their top teams experiment with new IPs, with Splatoon and ARMS being made by ARMS being made by the Mario Kart guys. And,
Excellent
Splatoon
examples.
Made was by the Animal Crossing team. Those are proven teams. They let make a new IP. What I originally said was there's a possibility that some of these like next levels and intelligent systems, like they might want to do more, like Camelot's, like they might have games they want to make, but you got to think there might be some like as a company that wants to be creative and stuff, like, oh, well, you guys are going to be making another Mario Party game. Like that's what the point I was making.
Yeah.
There's some of these, they're not owned by Nintendo, but they're kind of second party. It's like, how deflating would it be? Like you got this great idea and Nintendo's like, no, we need a new Mario Party game out for this console.
That was my point.
That's what I was trying to make the point. I'm not saying that because I said they might be holding some of these teams back. I'm not talking about their top internal teams. I'm talking about the second parties.
I would take a Golden Sun. I would take a Golden Sun using the Octopath engine. I would take that.
You know what I'm saying? Like
what? There's definitely a lot of potential that we haven't seen, and maybe we will. But I really feel like there's no excuse for 2018 to have 4 Wii U ports. And then a couple very safe, like 3 very safe games in Kirby, Mario Tennis, and Mario Party. Like, and then Smash is basically the only other. That's just not acceptable. That's Wii U type fucking lineup from
and they're
Nintendo.
not selling that well. Like, they're not selling terrible or anything, but they're not selling as well as I thought they might. Like with the Bayonettas, you don't hear like, oh,
where's the Captain Toad? Oh wow, look how much better it sold than the Wii U version.
Like I'm not hearing that. It's selling okay, but it's like install base to install base. It's not that big a deal,
These games. I think Captain Toad.
The Wii U didn't sell, man.
Nobody
got the chance to buy it. Okay,
I think they dipped into the well just one or too many times because we saw Bayonetta did pretty well, and then Tropical Freeze did really well, but then like Hyrule Warriors and Mario Kart's top selling game on the Switch, but then you get Hyrule Warriors and Captain Toad coming out pretty quickly after Tropical Freeze, and I think they went to that well one too many times.
They probably should just space them out. I don't think they went to the well too many times. They were too back to back.
Yeah, and it's like the law of diminishing returns. It seems to be affecting, as I heard nobody talking about Hyrule Warriors on Switch or Captain Toad.
And they were all still $60 a piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Captain Toad was
cheaper.
Toad was cheaper.
Captain Toad, was it $40 still?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was about to say, there's no way I'm paying $60 and it's $40 on the Wii U. You're crazy.
But these games are new to Switch owners. We get that. But they don't. They shouldn't be 60, and they shouldn't be so close together. It's just I think too much.
We don't want to get too much into these Wii U ports again, because we're getting towards the
that's
end.
A whole
exactly. We all moaned about wanting Captain Toad 2, and we probably all would have snapped up Donkey Kong again if it has some new levels, etc. Just
wait. I thought the Switch was trying to emulate the PS4's first year. Everybody forgets that the magical 2013 year.
But
Resogun Game of the Year.
Order 1886, son.
to finish this up, I thought this would be like a nice, friendly, fun conversation. Talking about those companies they should have had or could buy. It's turned quite savage in the end. Bit of hating on both you and in the chat, So let's wrap this up now because I think we've been almost 2 hours, but we can give our final thoughts on just the companies and stuff, and then give our final thoughts towards the end about the podcast itself. So, Terrell, you were a little bit quiet towards the end, and heard you mention Sega as well. I mean, if there was one company that you would love Nintendo to buy, just hypothetically, just to finish off, who would it be? And
I guess probably Platinum. I think that's my That's probably where I would lean towards. Of all the IP, of all the companies, probably Platinum. I think it would give them. Go ahead.
I was going to say they could bring a diverse number of genres.
Yeah, exactly. It's the one thing that Nintendo doesn't really have a company that does insanely well for them. And Platinum would be that void. Whereas like every other company, Nintendo can do a variation of that genre pretty well. But like action games, like hardcore combo heavy action games, they don't have really anybody who can rep that for them. So I think Platinum would probably be the best choice.
Yeah, that's a good choice. All right. Shadow, what about you, man? Any thoughts?
I'm gonna go a little deep here, and I'll say that
balls deep.
Yes, balls deep. If it came down to it, and financial consequences weren't an option at all, I would say Nintendo bites the bullet and buys Capcom. They would treat the franchises probably, I guess, with a little bit more respect, at least anyway.
And it'd be a damn good purchase. There's no doubt about it.
You get QA, good localization on Nintendo side. So I think the Mega Man re-releases were probably they would decrease probably quite a bit. And we might see other things like maybe Camelot work with Capcom to do Breath of Fire again and things like that. All kind of weird things could happen where Capcom might start doing shoot 'em ups again. Who knows?
Yeah, and you have to. People would probably start moaning about games like Resident Evil and Devil May Cry disappearing to one platform, but then you have to ask yourself, how big are those games now? Compared to what they were.
Also, how big they have to be just to turn a profit versus what if Nintendo's bankrolling it, you can kind of make your creative vision more so than how can we make money off of this with DLC and all this other kind of craziness.
Yeah, I heard Ninja Theory said that Hellblade cost $10 million, and that was a low budget game.
That's ridiculous.
That's probably more than Breath of the Wild.
It's crazy.
I know it's more than Breath of the Wild.
There are Wii games that didn't have budgets that big.
That's insane.
Incredible.
Unsustainable.
But, Capcom. In terms of characters as well, you got Nintendo, Sega, and Capcom up there with the biggest wealth of characters to fall back on in their library and stuff. And once again with Capcom, many of those just feel at home on Nintendo platforms because of the history. But yeah, it's it'd be a good company. But yeah, anyway, Juice.
Well,
what about you, man?
Yeah, definitely. You're talking hypotheticals, right?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, Nintendo definitely needs to buy Naughty Dog then for sure, because we need those cinematic games.
He's a fucking comedian.
Or Santa Monica would be my second choice.
Nintendo
being serious, okay.
I'm kidding.
I thought he was joking.
Yeah, I'm fucking kidding. Fuck those trash ass studios making their movies.
Wow.
Honestly, I already said mine. And Platinum Games, the only one I have any interest in Nintendo owning. I don't care about Capcom or their IPs or Konami. They can all EAD, if you know what that means. But not.
You don't want to play Mercs, man. It's 3-player, like Mercs. It's a great shoot 'em up.
It would be cool to play Contra on the Virtual Console, the original Contra. That's about the only thing I'd want from Konami. But Platinum Games is really the only one that I'd like them to own. They have creative, unique games, and even though they're already working with Nintendo, making Bayonetta 3, they definitely can output more than just one game. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't
I mean,
mind.
they're damn good at that, you know.
So
And
that would be my top. Are we doing any final thoughts too, or just this quick hypothetical?
Yeah, I'll do my two quick hypotheticals, and then we'll finish up with final thoughts
right.
quickly. But yeah, I mean, platinum is obviously popular, and you know, there's a reason, you know, why I just, you know, it's once again one of those companies who just seem to sit on our side that Nintendo need, you know, that you know, with the type of games that they do, and they just seem to understand Nintendo as well. And you have to remember that the Wonderful 101 was a partnership game with Platinum and Nintendo, and it just,
Great
you know,
I
game.
need a sequel,
yes,
damn it.
yeah,
Great game.
such a good game that, you know, if there was going to be another Wii U port, yeah, bring that one. But for me, sequel, hell, yeah, it should be happening regardless, you
All
know,
day, every day.
of what the first one done. So,
Except for Wonder Black and drawing those bombs. Jesus.
they were the hardest ones, weren't they?
I had to use the analog stick for those.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. All right, but yeah, T. What are your thoughts, man? One company,
One company,
old, new, whatever, you know, is
Platonic.
John, you joke. I don't know if you're
No,
joking, but
I'm
you know,
serious.
it's a good idea.
I mean, they're not. I don't think there are any financial issues. I think they did okay with I can't even think of the name, ukulele. But
Wow.
ukulele, as much as I like it, doesn't have the charm of Banjo Kazooie, or the possible charm of Duck Hunt and Dog.
Wow, to a platform
Which
game
would
like that,
be
my God,
amazing.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
I never
I
thought of
would
that.
love that because obviously those guys are good at the team up mascot game, and
Yeah.
I would like to, they don't have to buy them for that, but I'd like Nintendo to commission them to make that maybe exclusive. That would be cool. Yeah, I mean, Rare. I would say Rare, but Rare is already bought, and they belong to a company who doesn't seem to want to let them go or do anything with them other than make terrible pirate games. So,
Avatars.
Oh, we got here throwing shots. We can't leave Xbox alone.
Those
that
avatars look
Kraken is,
great.
Well, that's another thing Nintendo lets slip when you look at their Mii's customization and stuff. They they pioneered that, and then Microsoft took over.
I mean, I don't want the Mii's to be all like, there's stuff they can do, like clothing wise, stuff like that. I don't want the design to be too complicated because that's what's cool. What's so good about Mii's is that the charm is that
I don't mean so much that. I just mean still having them up in the forefront of.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Like it's like they don't. It's like they want to have them, but they don't at the same time. It's kind of weird, but yeah.
Platonic, I'm gonna be that was a good choice. I mean, we all know Platonic's history, and we all love those guys. And their first game, might not have been as perfect and as big a success as we had liked, but for their first game back in the wild, there's no real massive complaints. They've done well, and I hope their next game takes them up that bit further. And I'm gonna be boring. I'm gonna say Platinum Games as well. If I was going to be old hypothetical, then like it's Factor 5. But Platinum Games, I think we can all agree, are just that right wing that they need, and the proof has been in the pudding. Really, even though the sales hasn't been there, the quality has been just exceptional, and I'd absolutely love them. But yeah, all right. Well, looks like we trickled over a little bit, but fun podcast. Let's give our final thoughts. Shadow Fox, seeing as you're the guest today, my friend, do you want to give your final thoughts?
Well, my channel is alive. This was a great discussion. I'm glad we had it. And I don't know if it's because I'm here that it turned into Shadowcast length, but
no, that's about normal time.
Usually,
it was great to be with you guys throughout all the technical difficulties. God bless Google for giving me a new driver to download right now in the middle of this podcast. But it was great having a chat with you guys. I've been on one of the Juice Loose before, I believe. It's been
one. We've been on multiple together over just being on the old Gamers at Large and
I was
stuff.
gonna say it's like Gamers at Large up in here tonight. So.
Oh yeah,
I've been. It's the first time I've chatted to you as well. I believe, directly. But I mean, we've been chatting quite a bit on Twitter as well. I believe, haven't we?
Yeah, Twitter, and you'll see me just playing Octopath.
All day, every day.
Pretty much all day, every day. But yeah, the channel's alive. So if anybody wants to go there, I'll have a couple videos up this week going forward, and Hit Dogs will holler. So if anybody has any kind of feelings towards certain individuals, whether they be YouTubers or publishers, yeah, hold on to your hats. That's all I can really say about that one.
All right, man. We look forward to the hate. You know, it's delicious. All right. Who's next? Terrell, you want to finish, right?
Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you enjoyed the conversation. I always, it's always fun when Shadow Fox is here because it's like an educational lesson. Like I feel like I'm in class, but I'm not bored as shit, which is always a good thing in my book. But no, all joking aside, glad to have you here, man. Good podcast, learn some stuff, good discussion. There's not, I guess Switch is RPG life right now until September, and then it's paid online and fighting game life. Right now, but right now it's RPG life. So if you haven't got Octopath, get Octopath, and if you don't want to play Octopath, buy Xenoblade because they're good games and they're great. And I love it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and last game, play to win.
Nice one. And T, final thoughts, man?
Yeah, great podcast. Great to have Shadow Fox on. Like I said, it felt like partially a Gamers at Large a little bit. So that was cool. We need to revitalize the Gamers at Large and make it a position.
Yes.
But seriously, what was I gonna say? I'm totally blank. I had a really good thing to say, but Gamers at Large messed it up. See, never mind. No Gamers at Large screwed me up. No. Yeah, it was a great discussion. Definitely, if you haven't gotten on Octopath, you should. And Xenoblade 2. You talk about if you haven't gotten that game, you should get it. There's going to be Xenoblade 2.5 coming soon, so
pretty much,
basically another damn game because they even putting it on a whole different cart. So yeah, the RPG life on Switch is pretty hot right now, and it's going to end with a fighting year with the SNK Heroines and
Dragon Ball,
and obviously Smash. I know I'm forgetting one.
Pocket Rumble. Oh wait, that's
Pocket Rumble's already out. There's another one I'm forgetting now, but I can't think of it now. But anyway, so we just want more Nintendo on our Nintendo console. That's all. But we get it. Like we made reasons why we thought they weren't around this year as much. So, but great podcast, and make sure you play Nintendo Blues.
Cool, nice one. All right, I'll go next, and I'll let Juice finish up. But thanks for letting me host again. No riddles this time. I knew
you let me down.
No, we had a few things to talk about, and I just knew that I wouldn't be able to fit them all in. So maybe next time if I'm honored enough to host the Clock That Is Loose. But great podcast. I enjoyed it. I hope you found the discussions fun. But yeah, I don't have much to say. I'm playing Octopath as well. Absolutely loving it. Even though I'm only 10 hours in, 4 characters or whatever. Actually, I lie. I just got my 5th one. Which is the thief. I can't remember his name yet because I've only just got him. But I'm loving the game. I'm not bored of the battle system. My friend, he said he's completely underleveled. He's got every character, and he's struggling to fight the people in Chapter 2. But I'm like level 20, and I've only got like 5 characters or something. I don't know what he's done wrong. But I got no issues with the balance whatsoever. It seems to be moving along quite nicely. And by the time I got everyone kind of going clockwise around the map, I'll be ready to go straight into Chapter 2. But yeah, I'm loving the game. The music is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I got to this new town. It reminded me of Cosmos Canyon from Final Fantasy VII originally when you're winding your way up there. But like everyone else, play Octopath. And Juice, thanks for letting me host again. And I'll leave you to finish up, man.
All right, I'll get Octopath once that Unreal Engine patch hits and runs at 1080. Then I'll get it.
No, he won't. No, he fucking won't.
But honestly,
Rizzo host.
I would have never came up with this topic ever. So props to you, man. It was one of the better discussions we've had in a long time, I think, on the Juices Loose.
That's good to hear.
So, Clocked, it's the new host. I'm just announcing that right now.
Fuck that.
Full time. No.
We'll talk about
good.
Sega next week.
Ooh.
That sounds like hurt.
Take that back.
Podcast.
No, good job. And well, we're gonna continue. So T's next. Everyone. We're back through the cycle, and just a quick note: Retro Death's not going to be on for foreseeable future. Don't know how long that is. So, Shadow Fox, if you want to make other ones, it was great having you on. So if you're available, I'll let you know. Good discussion. You're like, I always feel with, now with Clock that's come on, and T always felt this way, but Shadow Fox, you guys just, your memory and your knowledge of like these game developers and studios from back, way back when, like the original Rockstar, like I would have never known. I never knew that
DMA, yeah.
Golden era, baby, the golden era.
I was obsessively reading magazines back then.
Yeah, I don't know any of that stuff, so I just feel it's nice to have another person on with that kind of knowledge. It does make me feel a little bit of a fake gamer, because I don't have. I never retain things like that. It's just weird. That's my memory works different than a lot of people, I think, because I couldn't even tell you the final boss. Barely tell you the final boss battle of like games from last gen, and especially the Wii generation. Like I just don't recall stuff like that. But anyway, great.
Trash like Tomb Raider, that's why.
I couldn't tell you the final in Tomb Raider 2013 or Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I don't even remember the final bosses of. I just don't remember games like that for whatever reason. I move on to the next
game
one.
design,
But great job hosting, great conversation. Shadow Fox, great having you back on. Sorry it's been this long, but I've had pretty full crew, and more people you add, it's just harder for everyone to get opinions in and stuff. So I tried not to. 6. I never swore I'd never go past 5, and the next thing I know, I had six people on. Well, 5 plus me. So yeah, it's I don't want to get too crowded, but it's great having you on. Great discussion, and I think that's all I got. So next week, Robert should be back though, for anybody who missed him and his final thoughts. So that's all I got.
MTV.
Oh yeah, I'm closing out. I forgot.
Turn it off.
Thanks everybody for tuning in.
People still watch MTV. Why?
Thanks for Ruby for all those comments. She was definitely the comment winner of the live chat.
Ruby.
We missed Muhammad wasn't here.
Too bad Juice doesn't pay or promote anybody, so that's fine.
Subliminal Lime wasn't here. I seen some people missing. Shadow Fox is a link to his channels in the description. So
it won't be.
It is. It's already there.
Ooh,
that's a surprise.
Told you.
So anyway,
I am legitimately surprised by that.
check out my Juice opinions because it's a very popular opinion. You guys will all agree with it. Why I'm not excited for Smash Brothers Ultimate. I'm not saying it's not going to be awesome to have it. It's just not exciting thinking about it coming. So anyway, thanks everybody. We'll see you next week.